Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today we shall discuss about this topic, the difference between recollection of past lives and dependent origination. These are two types of spiritual attainment in the Buddha's dispensation. Recollection of past life comes under abhinya, a kind of psychic power. Out of 5 mundane psychic power, this is one. There are 6 types of abhinya, 6 types of psychic, considered psychic power. This is one. Recollection of past lives, divine eye, divine ear, mind reading, supernormal powers, and the overcoming of cankers. Is considered as the highest psychic. The Buddha says is actually to conquer completely, like the Arahant, all cankers, all defilements, or put it simply, just call it defilements. So the first 5 types, they are mundane, worldly. Even outside the Buddha's dispensation, it is possible to achieve recollection of past lives. But dependent origination is the knowledge only the Buddhas teach, all the Buddhas teach. And if anyone can practice this, means they are already some kind of Buddhist already. Because it is, if this is taught, then the pathway towards liberation is possible. Of course, other things also must come together, but this is crucial. So dependent origination is a knowledge very unique to the Buddha's sasana, Buddha's dispensation, while recollection of past lives may be achieved in other era, not necessarily Buddha's dispensation. And so what is the difference? Other than that, this happen anytime it can happen in other era, even when there's no Buddhas appear in the world, it is possible to achieve recollection of past lives. And then dependent origination is very unique to the Buddha's teaching, all the past Buddha's teaching. All past Buddhas, they sure teach dependent origination because this is a must. Because this is a reality of life which you cannot bypass if you want to attain liberation. As we have taught in the past, that once Venerable Ananda told the Buddha, while this dependent origination is very profound knowledge, I can easily master it. Then the Buddha said, no, don't say so, Ananda, don't say like that. It is really, really tough and very profound. It is simply because all the beings, they don't realize dependent origination, that beings cannot get out of the rounds of suffering. It is a indispensable knowledge to attain if one want to attain liberation and to get out of the rounds of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. So it must be something. The Buddha didn't say the same thing for recollection of past lives. The Buddha said this for dependent origination. So what is the difference? What is dependent origination? In simple expression, Imasmi sati idang hoti imasupada idang upajati. Imasmi asati idang nahoti imasupada. Imasa niroda nirujati. What? Suddenly, it doesn't come suddenly. We have to recite it all the time. Sometimes the mind, I a bit. Imasmi asati idang nahoti imasa niroda idang nirujati. So it means because of this arise, that arise. This is, that is. Because of this vanish, this is not, that is not. This vanish, that vanish. What does it mean? It means, in simple terms, any phenomena in the world that arise and pass away are conditioned. And without condition, it doesn't appear. And because of the existence of the condition, then things appear. When there's no this such condition, things won't appear. Just to put it simply, it's just like that. So simple, isn't it? Dependent origination looks very simple. Then the Buddha went on to expound this reality, this truth, more profoundly. Avijja pacaya sankhara, sankhara pacaya vijnanam, vijnana pacaya nama rupang, nama rupa pacaya salayatanam, salayatana pacaya bhaso, bhasa pacaya vedana, vedana pacaya tanha, tanha pacaya upadanam, upadana pacaya bhava, bhava pacaya jati, jati pacaya jaramarnam soka pardewa, dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti, eva metasa kevalasa dukkha khandasa samudayo hoti. The 12 links of dependent origination. Because of ignorance, then formations occur. This has happened in the past lives. Then, because of the formations, generate our cravings, our attachment, and our karma. Then all these forces will produce the resultant consciousness. We call vijnana. And then so on and so forth until vijnana pacaya nama rupang, nama rupa pacaya salatana. So name and form, which is materiality, mentality, and then goes on to 6 sense bases, and then contact, feeling, phasa, vedana, feeling, and then our being, bhava, our as the kind of translated as what we say, upadana pacaya bhava, existing, yo. The translation is bhava. We usually recite the Pali, attachment, and existence, existence, and then with the existence, then birth, old age, sickness, all the sorrow, lamentation, pain, unhappiness, and despair. So these 12 links, because of this arise, that arise, because of the arising, dependent on ignorance, then the formations, all kinds of mental formations, our action, thought, speech, and action, these comes because of that. Then it produces kind of when you have done do that, there are always craving, always attachment, then avijja, tanha, upadana, ignorance, and the karmic force, the sankhara. So these all together, at the past lives, they generate our new life. Our consciousness appear, the rebirth consciousness appear, and then give rise to, when we will get born into the mother's womb, then we have this materiality and mentality. And then slowly develop the 6 sense bases. Then because of that, we have contact. And because of contact, we have feeling. Because of feeling, we have that craving and attachment, and then existence. And then another next life appeared again. Okay, so this traveling of dependent origination, paticca samuppada, what I call transmit through three lifetimes, from past to present to future. Past may not be only immediate past. Immediate past, yes, there's a crucial one when the dying moment. But the karmic force can come from long ago past. And the future also can be many future lives. But of course, the immediate one is, we refer to the immediate one, but it always have the power to bring on the resultant, the what we call vipaka, the result of our actions into the future. So when we read like that, it seems it is only one link, one cause, one result. Actually, it's not only like that. And this is the key. This is the key flow. But in between, there are other conditions. For example, when you get born into a mother's womb, there are always, because of the existence of father and mother, then the condition is right for you to go for that. But of course, in the world, there's always conditions for you to be reborn anywhere. There's always. So this is like conditions. But the main cause, to this link, this is a dependent origination. So you put it in simple terms, because of this, that arise. Because this exists, they translate this way. Thus, when there is this, that is. With the arising of this, that arises. Then ceases also the same. Avijja nirodha, sankhara nirodha, sankhara nirodha, vijnana nirodha, vijnana nirodha, nama rupa nirodha, nama rupa nirodha, salayatana nirodha, salayatana nirodha, phasa nirodha, phasa nirodha, vedana nirodha, vedana nirodha, tanna nirodha, tanna nirodha, upadana nirodha, upadana nirodha, bhava nirodha, bhava nirodha, jati nirodha, jati nirodha, jara maranang soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa nirodhanti, evamitasa kevalasa dukkha khandasa nirodho hoti. With the cessation of ignorance, or activities, or we call sankhara, formations, cease. With the cessation of activities, with the cessation of formations, then consciousness, the next life will even arrive. Actually, the first time the more ignorance cease, the whole link finish. But when we express, oh, this is, that is, this is, that is. But actually, when the first link broke, then the rest won't appear. But when we practice, there are, in that time, we see one is cease without remainder. One cease is still arise later. So when we practice both ways. One is the moment ignorance cease and without remainder, there's Arahant achievement. The Buddha practice, dependent origin, arising, past, vanishing, and then arising and vanishing, another time. Then avijja, yatveva, asesa, viraga, nirodha, sankhara, nirodho, cease without remainder. That is Arahant achievement. After attaining Arahata Magga, then that is a cease without remainder. One. Then other time, when ignorance cease, formation cease, but later it arises. It is not cease without remainder. So practice time also we see, oh, this is. Similar thing, the cease, this is a bit profound, when for those who have not done this practice, you may not fully understand this. It may take some time to explain. But what we want to tell is this knowledge that tells us about the cause and effect relationship with the presence of other conditions. The cause and effect relationship go through past lives to present life to future lives. So, well, when you think like that, isn't it similar to the recollection of past lives? But one thing, the obvious one you may get it, the recollection of past, it talks about past. But this dependent origination talks about past, to how the past caused the present, condition the present, and how the present condition the future. There's one difference here. Past is already something already happened. So you cannot change. It's a fix. You cannot make a difference in the past. But sometimes people say, hey, my past life changed. No, that's not. There is something happened when you didn't see clearly. Then later you, when you develop your concentration and you see more clearly, then you think your past life changed. That is not past life change. That is just clarity change. Ability to see with clarity change. Okay? But dependent origination, this is not enough. You go through, if according to this traveling from past to future. And what is future? Has it happened? No, not yet. Not yet. It covered the time frame into the future to see the cause and effect relation in the future. And how? What has not happened? Can you see? Can. You see the projection of it. Because whatever happened, there's a force, the karmic force, the craving force, whatever, is a combination of condition in our mind, in our life. And this combination of condition with concentration, you can derive the projection. Somehow, naturally, the seeing method is a bit similar. Like look into the past, look into the future, it's a bit similar. But in terms of the reality, what is already happened, you are opening up old record. Another one is like, it's a projection, not yet happened. So this projection into the future, you can change. You can change. For example, if you're not satisfied, you see the future, I don't want this life, I want higher life. Oh, this is not good enough. Human life is not happy enough. I want better. I wish to be Brahma. Okay, can. For example, you be some practitioner, seeing that they are not satisfied in the future life, they go and meditate up to, practice the fourth jhana again and again, then make a wish. May I be reborn in the fourth jhana Brahma world. Now, if the power is sufficient, of course, there are other conditions, like in the Sankhara Upapati Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, it tells other conditions. But that's another topic. So, with this concentration, if you make determination, coupled with other the relevant necessary conditions, your wish may be fulfilled. Then you look into the future, this is no more. My future life is no more human life. It's Brahma life. So, this dependent origination, we see cause effect into the future. From what already happened, reality, the record, into the projection. Even the how future 1 life and future 2 life, 3 life, 5 life, 100 life, how the project move into the future, you can see, and you can change. So this is a dependent origination practice, the difference. One of the aspect of difference. So now, let's talk about the most important. What is the difference in experiential wise? When you experience it, how can it be different? How much? Okay, I will tell a little story, and from there you may understand, get a sense of it. Okay, one of our student, when I was last year, actually many people our students have done this kind of practice, but her story is particularly impressive and worth mentioning. When she was practicing dependent origination, I didn't give any instruction about other teaching. I just said, this is now you, after Namarupa Paricheda Jnana, the first insight knowledge, you go to the second level, please see the condition into the past. And then she was trained to see Namarupa, how the forces of materiality, mentality look into the future. But something happened extra. She saw suddenly many lives as human, mostly as a human, into even up to Tang dynasty, Tang Cao, Tang Chinese, Tang dynasty, and most of the time in China, sometimes other place, sometimes in India, but most of the time in China. Somehow her karma always said that, even she so clearly, even Li Siming, the Tang, the very famous king who killed his brothers to become the king, the emperor. But he was very effective in managing the country, and very good in his leadership. Apart from the killing of brothers, she was there. She's one of the offspring, in that, and she has met Wu Zetian. She has met Wu Zetian, and a lot of details came into her mind. And she actually went into the history to check, is there such a person? She recalled, I was such a person there. She actually go into now you can check anything in history, in the Wikipedia, but she didn't check with Google. I think it's by two. She checked and found actually there was such a princess at that time. Not the most key people, you know. So she was in that generation and quite familiar with the history and what happened to this, what happened to the emperor, what happened to Wu Zetian. She knew a little bit. So this is what, while practicing dependent origination, she happened to develop some kind of, maybe not, I don't know how complete I can say, the recollection of past life. What's the difference? When you practice dependent origination, your aim is to see cause and effect relationship. But when you aim to practice the recollection of past life, you see concept. Sometimes seeing concept require even deeper concentration. And her concentration is fantastic. Fantastic. So she saw a lot of detail, even the name, her name, father, mother, her living conditions, how she was treated in great details, one life after another. It's a very interesting story. When I heard her report, it's like listening to a very interesting story. Then I said, no, our purpose is to depend on origination. No harm to know more, but you need to see the cause and effect. No. And she focused on looking only at cause and effect. And we have another student also have similar ability practicing at the same time, a bit later. Then also see, then even, a relationship with Zhu Yanzhang. You know the king, Zhu Yanzhang, the Ming dynasty. And she could actually see her role there. And she searched also, same, they did the same thing. Search the internet and found actually there was such a person, such a name. And in many lives also can search. Because always in a very certain kind of critical, crucial role she played. It's another female yogi. Even saw Mao Zedong also. This is why practicing dependent origination come up with recollection of past lives ability. Because recollection of past life, it tell you about your life in details, conceptually. When we say there's a human, there's a concept. Ultimate reality, it goes into only materiality and mentality, like your eye consciousness, all the elements, and your eye clear, transparent element, and then the earth, water, fire, wind, etc. And then the jivita. So all these are called ultimate realities. You don't see a self. But recollection of past life, you don't break through this reality. You see the concept as a human. So when people see a recollection of past, they can be emotionally affected. Yeah, some of our yogi, they got emotionally affected. Oh, I was like that. Oh, I suffer so much. One of the yogi actually reported when she suffered at the hands of the Japanese soldiers. She actually reported, so she said, Bhante, please, I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to see because it's too painful. I was tortured, I was abused, and then killed eventually. I don't see anymore. So painful. I said, no, you don't see it wrongly. You are seeing recollection of past lives. Now I want you to go into ultimate reality. The same experience, but you see the ultimate reality of materiality and mentality. Then see the cause and effect. Then she could deal with it quite well. Recently, not long ago, I say, are you willing to share some? Because monks and nuns don't tell about their own past life to other people, except to their teacher. This is our practice. But for lay people, I say, yeah, you can say something inspired. Do you want to tell others and let them listen? Because sometimes they get bored after meditation. They want to listen to some real life story, then they feel inspired. I actually have her recording, but we don't usually share until suitable conditions. Okay? Actually, recording is in this phone. So I said, and she was willing. Okay, she shared her experience, especially the Japanese era time in China. But this time, I told her, you make sure you have to really work on not only, concepts, but you should also let your mind dwell on dependent origination level so that you don't get affected. Then while she was telling the story, I could observe when she came to touch on this sensitive, tortured part of her life. She actually a bit like mind affected, but the mind was calm down and she could guard it. Because I already warned her before. I said, now make sure you dwell your mind on realities rather than, I suffer. No. So when she has more awareness of her insight, no doubt she talk about my life there, these concepts, but the mind more side on focus more on the side of reality. So she could manage it. She could handle it. So this is a difference. People who only look at lives is conceptual life itself. When you talk about painful experience, the emotional rush up. But if you are on dependent origination, a cause and effect, it is only conditions only. There's no self there. So when you don't see a self in that experience, only causes and effect. The wisdom, the insight knowledge is a kind of natural protection for our mind. We only suffer when we dwell on concepts of I and you, friends and enemy, beloved one and hated individual or whatever. But when we dwell on the reality and the ultimate reality, the causes and effect, the wisdom is a very powerful purifying force and can endure a lot of so-called, what we used to say, this is a causes for my sadness, whatever. It won't happen. We only suffer when we hold on to concepts only. So this is another benefit of dependent origination knowledge over the knowledge of recollection of past lives. Okay? So in the recollection of past life, to what extent people can do? In the text, it is given this way. When a bhikkhu recollects many kinds of past lives, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000 rebirth, many eons of the world contracting, many eons of world expanding, many eons of world contracting, expanding. They remember, there I was named this, my clan was that, I looked like this, and that was my food. This was how I felt pleasure and pain, and that was how my life ended. When I passed away from that place, I was reborn somewhere else. There too, I was named this, my clan was this, that, I looked like this, and that was my food, etc. So what the students reported to us is actually similar. And another student also report seeing hundreds, thousand, 10,000, more than 10,000 lives. And she said, so much suffering, so like this, all kinds of things I've done. Another student reported like that. I've done all sorts of things. So this recollection of past life by itself, that at that time actually was the recollection of past lives, not dependent origination. She just happened to, while practicing dependent origination, the method is a bit similar. Just that you focus on concept or focus on ultimate reality only. Okay? So she saw, happened to see the concept, I was like this, I was like this, I was like this, I did this. Then she said, Bhante, too much already. Too much already. To the point you don't want to bear it. You don't want to look at it again. You get tired. Yes, she reported to me. But that is okay. To be disenchanted is possible. Seeing Ricardo's pasta to be disenchanted is okay. But if you are emotionally moved, affected, shaken, then that means the mind is not aloof while recollecting, while seeing these experiences, past experiences. So at that time, what should you do? Focus on ultimate reality, causes and effect. Because these things, nothing to grasp. You can grasp a man, a woman life, a happy life, an unhappy life. But you cannot grasp materiality and mentality. There's nothing to grasp there. So that is the thing. So sometimes when you really hear people, this one practicing about dependent origination, cry. That is not really bad, but that is not the end state. If there's an end state, they are not progressing. If there is a passing state, it's okay. It happened to many people. It pass by. An experience that come and go is okay, fine. But you should go move one step further to transcend that experience. Then the key to transcend is to switch your mind, work on ultimate reality, and see ultimate reality as they really are with insight, knowledge, with wisdom. Then you will not be affected. Okay? So this, if that's the case, what is the use of recollection of past lives? You may say so, right? The best is dependent origination. Why should I practice this? In fact, recollection of past life is one of the knowledge very much praised by the Buddha. During the Buddha's time, a lot of arahants are devija. Arahants. Three knowledge. What are the three knowledges? Recollection of past life, and then divine eye, and then the knowledge that eliminated our cankers, which is arahant knowledge. These three knowledge is called devija attainment, and recollection of past life is one of it. So it is very precious. You see, during in our Khuddaka Nikaya, there's a Jataka stories. There are about 500 over lives of the Bodhisattvas, the Buddha related to us. One of it, like Vesantara Jataka. At that time he was born. The moment he was born, he wanted to give donations, he was so generous. So this is one example. There are many examples the Buddha told about past when people ask the Buddha, why like this? What is this phenomena? What happened about the experience, day-to-day experience? What happened? The Buddha usually sometimes tell Dhamma. Sometimes the Buddha would like to tell story. What happened now actually is conditioned a lot by past karma. And what in the past, what you did. And the Buddha relate. And that inspired many people. Make people realize to accept. Oh, because of this happened, this all past and causes and effect only. So this also can give us the knowledge, some knowledge of causes and effect. Except that if you only see concepts, the cause and effect relationship may not be so direct and clear. But if you see the forces of karma, then the cause and effect experience is very clear. Then your mind about cause and effect become very firm and very sure. And the benefit, another thing is, when you do recollection of past life, if you don't work on causes and effect, sometimes because of the attachment to self, there's an I get reborn. This may appear. Then sometimes people who see a recollection of past life may still have a lot of strong attachment and anger. For example, this is my enemy. Oh, this is bad. This person did this to me. You get angry. Or you get attached. Oh, this person loved me so much. You get attached. Yeah. Sometimes you find yogis saying, this is my past husband. Oh, then they attach. No, yogi don't do like that. You see a reality. But it happened. It happened to many people because sometimes inadvertently your attention will go to concepts, then reality, then concepts. So if you really want the knowledge of dependent origination, you focus on reality, ultimate reality, forces. What craving I had, what kinds of karma I did, karmic forces, sankhara formations, things like that, attachment, and how it produced the present result. Then they give rise to knowledge. And if you only see past life, sometimes you may even feel proud of yourself. Oh, I did this. Then the knowledge of fatalism can appear, which is not correct knowledge. Fatalism means, I did this, so I'm fated to be like that. I did this, I'm fated to be like that. There's no way my fate cannot change. This is wrong teaching. The Buddha didn't want us. That's why, and that's also, I suppose, is one of the important reasons the Buddha doesn't want us to go to fortune telling. Why? Because once you believe in fatalism, this is sure to happen. You will lie flat and try not to do anything. No, it's my fate. But dependent origination knowledge is not like that. Dependent origination knowledge, you see the past and future, all the cause, past, condition, present, consider future. Then you see the very unique, very powerful function of now. In what has one Western person call it the power of now. Even wrote a book on it. Now, yes. Because now every time you can create new causes. So our life, a lot of experiences in our life, whatever happened, they happen because of the past condition, karma particularly, and present condition, especially karma currently created. When these things mix together, it produces result. Happiness, unhappy, success and failure, gain and loss. So the present moment is so important. Dependent origination knowledge tells us that how the present moment can play a significant role in our life and can even transform our life to a great extent. Of course, subject to also past condition and limitation. But there's a lot of changes we can do to our life. So you become very realistic, not only positive, realistic, pragmatic. You work on what are possibles to achieve. So this is why dependent origination helps us. Dependent origination knowledge helps us, which recollection of past life is not necessarily working in that way. But if you have dependent origination knowledge, on top of that, you cultivate recollection of past life, your recollection of past life knowledge will be slightly different because it's supported by your dependent origination knowledge that you know there are causes and effect. So even you see life after life, what you did, but cause and effect is clear. Just like one of our yogi, her dependent origination, she did not complete her course yet, but she has some very good instinct. And she was we were teaching her about this and this, cause and effect. But while she recollect her past, she happened to see both, sometimes ultimately, and sometimes she, out of interest or whatever, curiosity, work on the causes. Then she told her experience to us that why she suffer getting dumped by men for many lives. She said, because she saw in one of her past, she was a Taoist, Taoist practitioner, Taoist. And the Taoists, they got kind of wrong idea that you can purify yourself, achieve high achievement by having human, men and women intercourse. So because of that, as a man, he fool around and, have unhealthy relationship with many women and cause many women to suffer. And because of that, not in the most harmful way, in the sort of killing or torturing. He didn't do that. But he caused a lot of pain to the woman because of the too like playboy behavior. And while in the name of spirituality, he at that time was he indulged in that. So because of that karmic force, she has to suffer. That did not heavy enough to pull her into animal realms, but heavy enough to cause her to be reborn as a woman, while a woman's life have to suffer the loss of love and loss of and being fooled by men again and again and again. As she saw that cause and effect. So this kind of recollection of past life is not only that conceptual knowledge only, also comes with the cause and effect knowledge and ability to see the relationship. So, and then this is good. But if it is only purely concept, it may not give rise to such realization and understanding. And such a realization is very important for our life because it makes us a responsible person for our karma that we create here and now. And we will have the wisdom to work on the correct karma and not the wrong things. And to have the inner drive. Sometimes, yes, people think they want to do good, but because of lacking the inner drive, and maybe because of the belief is not complete, half belief in the Buddha's teaching. then that can also cause a person to lack the power, the drive. And then if you have dependent origination, it gives you more strength. No doubt, to be completely rid of all defilements, it requires, without remainder, it requires the power of Magga, Jnana, the path knowledge. When you attain enlightenment, Sotapatti Magga, Sakanagami Magga, Anagami Magga, Arahata Magga. This kind of achievement cut off the defilement without remainder, once and for all. And whatever defilements which is eliminated, it cannot resuscitate. It cannot come back. But the usual kind of purification force, it doesn't produce such an effect. But it's still useful. A person who have dependent origination have more, more power of restraint. Not complete, but more power. At least if the person is driven by, let's say, anger or sensual pleasures. But a person who really understands dependent origination cannot deceive himself and fool himself or lie to himself to say that, no, this is okay. Whether he has how much ability he has ability to contain his anger, that's another issue. But he cannot lie to himself to say that anger is okay. Not possible. So this is how useful it is. How often we suffer, we do wrong things because we deceive ourselves, giving ourselves excuses to indulge in the causes of suffering. But people who have real dependent origination cannot do that. You cannot lie to yourself. Because the reality, just like you cannot lie to yourself, there's no sun and moon and stars in the sky. There's always there. Because you see with your own eyes. So this is the power of dependent origination. If I'm not mistaken, there's one Western, the Greek philosopher. If I'm not mistaken, it's Plato. Either Plato or Socrates. Plato, I think it's Plato. He said, human can be reborn 8 times. Why 8 times? Because he managed to recollect only 8 lives. And he couldn't see any further beyond that. So he said, it must be, after 8 lives, no more. And like that, But it's not true. It's just your ability to recollect. Okay? So seeing the conceptual part of past lives is also beneficial, like what the Buddha did in Jataka's story, always quoting the past and how the past affect the present. So both knowledge actually the Buddha invoked. One knowledge is a past life. So the Buddha tell the story. When the Buddha told the story, it was very interesting with all the conceptual details. But at the same time, the Buddha also relate the cause and effect. That cause and effect explanation of the Buddha actually is derived from his knowledge of dependent origination. Exactly because of this action and the karma of this action produce precisely this result at this time. So that is dependent origination. While the Buddha told the story, both kind of knowledge he invoked. So it was most beneficial if you can have both. Okay. What else? So this recollection of past life, Pubbeniwasa Nusati Jnana, is also called knowledge, is also called psychic. An experiential knowledge of one's own past existence. Whereas dependent origination is universal law of causality that explains the arising and ceasing of all phenomena. Recollection of past, you see about your past. This independent origination, it actually, you can apply this knowledge and see all phenomena everywhere. All happen because of this that arise. And this knowledge is so powerful. So powerful. Because of this knowledge, which, what you call, how should I say? Inspire, not inspired, instigate, or arouse the knowledge of the enlightenment knowledge of Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Mahamoggallana. When Venerable Sariputta, at that time his name was Upatissa, when he met Venerable Asaji, he asked for the teaching of Venerable Asaji, because Venerable Asaji was so mindful doing his work. He was so inspired. This must be Arahant in the world. Then he asked him, what is your teacher's teaching? And then Venerable Asaji said, Ye Dhamma itu pabawa, te sang hetung tathagato aha, te sang chayo nirodo evang vari mahasamano. By the time he finished aha, Ye Dhamma itu pabawa, te sang hetung tathagato aha, Venerable Sariputta attained Sotapatti Magga. Of course, this is not small feat. His ability to do that is supported by a lot of very powerful merits, insight knowledge in all that he accumulated in past Buddha's era, from Anumodasi Buddha until this Kassapa Buddha. So by the time he met Gautama Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, Gautama Buddha, he just need a small, a clue, a cue, or you can say a cue, a clue, something like that. Just arouse a spark in his mind, and then he got enlightened. Why this spark is so special? The Buddha, whatever arises from a cause, ye Dhamma hetu pabawa, ye Dhamma hetu pabawa, te sang hetung tathagato aha. Whatever arises from the cause, the Buddha declared that cause. What does it mean? It means dependent origination. Te sanchayo nirodo, evang vari mahasamo. Te sanchayo nirodo, and its cessation. So this arising, dependently arising, and dependently ceasing. When we talk dependent origination, we say this arising. Actually, by the time we say arising, it actually implicates the ceasing, because it comes together. When there's arising, there will be ceasing. Okay? So he was so smart, his wisdom potential was so strong that by knowing the arising, he already could know the whole thing already. Because arising, ceasing, then he got enlightened. So his mind was so swift. You just tell him arising, he already could comprehend the whole thing. Then by the time when he went back to his friend, Venerable Mahamoggallana at that time, Kolita. At that time his name was Kolita. Later he was known as Mahamoggallana. Okay. Then he related the whole verse. Then Venerable Mahamoggallana became a Sotapan, enlightened. What is the difference between the first part of the verse to the second part? The first part relate about origination. Then the second part about cessation. Arising and passing away. And then Venerable Mahamoggallana, he need the cue, the clue about arising and passing away to see the whole thing. But Venerable Sariputta, you just tell him the beginning, the arising, he got it, and he got enlightened. So it shows to us how important it is, this knowledge. Even for a person with great potential, this cue is necessary. This kind of a spark of knowledge, a spark of language can arouse the wisdom in the person's mind. Okay? So this is universal. Everything, all over, everything is you. Can you find anything, including this Dhamma talk, or these glasses, or this glass box? Is there anything not dependently arising? No. Everything is conditioned by another, and by another, and by another. Similarly, our lives. This is very important knowledge. Very important knowledge. Then the past lives, personal and specific to individual karmic history, then dependent origination, the universal and applicable to all sentient beings. Okay, now this is a bit similar. Then, in terms of scope, nature is like that. The scope is dependent origination cover all aspects. Function, to generate a sense of past recollection of past life, to generate a sense of urgency, samvega, and to understand the long-term consequences of karma. Now, there's also karma, past, action, and future. But dependent origination, you see into the karmic force in great details, in more exacting. Dependent origination to provide a framework for understanding the nature of suffering and the path to its cessation. To provide a framework for understanding the nature of suffering and the path to its cessation. This is That means dependent origination is needed for liberation. Whereas recollection of past life is a bonus, but it is not a must for liberation. But in terms of our teaching experience, from our teaching experience, most people, they have some kind of this and that. Not completely severe knowledge. Because when you can see ultimate reality, occasionally you may just happen to switch your mind and see some concepts. But to see concepts in great details require a kind of special training. But because of the past merits, some people, they don't go through the psychic training, but because of the past potential, even while they have different knowledge, inside knowledge, some kind of partial psychic ability appeared naturally. It happened to many of our students. So a direct recollection of past life is a direct personal insight that deepens faith and understanding of rebirth. Then, whereas dependent origination is a conceptual tool for contemplation and a guide for practice leading to wisdom. But in terms of experience, yogi's experience, put it, we say 讲人话, yogi's experience from the report from the yogis. They can get emotional when they relate their past lives conceptually. But when they report about their dependent original experience, usually they are more aloof. Just tell nature phenomena as it is. This is unique. It shows why a knowledge of dependent origination can be so special and wonderful. And not only that, sometimes people, while doing dependent origination practice, because of the past training, their mind not only see the causes and effect, they also see the anicca dukkha anatta. So it is possible a person with good parami, good potential, wisdom parami, panya parami, while doing dependent origination, because the mind happened, when the knowledge deepened, happened to focus on the anicca dukkha anatta, at that time, all the subsequent insight knowledge can appear. That is possible. But without dependent origination, it doesn't happen. And for those who listen to Dhamma, they already, this knowledge is because of the past knowledge of dependent origination revive. Yeah. And this happened a lot during the Buddha's time. They listen to Dhamma, the Buddha talk about the dukkha satcha, samudaya satcha, nirodha satcha, the magga satcha, kuji metao. Then the Four Noble Truths, then they are listening to Dhamma. They don't meditate like us, but listening to the Buddha's Dhamma is different. The Buddha has a very strong power that if you sit in front of the Buddha has the ability to uplift your mind to the best of your potential. But if you don't have that potential, cannot. Cannot. He cannot do that to everybody, but if you have that potential, he could bring out your potential to the best. That is the unique when the Buddhas give Dhamma talk, Dhamma preaching. So this is when you do this, you have to go through the Buddha said, this dependent origination is a must. But the similar thing about these two things is it covers expand, whether it dependent origination or recollection past life, the similar part of them is it expand your mind beyond long time frame. You see, we human, when we are limited, we get caged in a very limited time. Like a child only want to play games, doesn't think about the future or grown-up time. You can be very shallow. Because you only want to play games, you don't think about your future because only now you want to enjoy sensual pleasures now. But when a person have an extended time frame knowledge about life, the maturity of the mind comes naturally. Because you don't see life in one short span. actually life can go through many lives. After you die, if you have not attained final liberation, you can be reborn again. And that is very important. So the space, it expands the space concept, the space quality, the sense of space, sense of time in our mind. The sense of time in our mind change according to our memory. If a person get kind of, they lost a kind of disease, what call disease? They lost their memory. If they live like a child, only can remember short time frame. That's kind of disease, right? So if a person get that kind of disease, act like a child because a lot of your life experience is gone from your mind. So the time frame is very short. But for people who can recollect past lives or dependent origination, can see the past causes, then the mind can see far. So your consideration, your maturity is different. This is one important quality of our wisdom. You have the ability to transcend time. Then another aspect is space. When you recollect past lives, you don't always get reborn in human life. Sometimes Deva, sometimes Brahma, sometimes Asura, sometimes ghosts, sometimes animals, and sometimes hell. So the understanding about a world change. Instead of thinking only human worlds and animal world, you can see, there's a other world. In fact, there's also a superimposed world at different dimensions. So with that understanding is one. But even more important is that all these different dimensions relate to your life because I can be reborn there. So it concerns me. It's not that it doesn't concern me. Yeah. So the knowledge about rebirth is established, whether it's a recollection of past lives or dependent origination. The knowledge of rebirth is assured. And knowing that you can transcend space, different dimensions, and through a long time. What will happen to your mind when you experience this? Can you still have racism? No. You don't even, you cannot even be assured that you will be reborn in like Chinese to Chinese or white to white or black to black. You cannot even be assured. In fact, to be, you can even be up and go up and down, to the woeful realms or to the happy realms. So, knowing that life transcends why should you hold on to my race? I'm a Chinese, I'm an Indians. So much suffering, so much torture happened in human world because of this attachment to race. And not only this, there are many attachments happen because of this holding on. But when you see recollection of past life, life go up and down here and there, different dimensions. So you naturally will give up to this kind of strong attachment to race, to some sort of identity. Identity. You don't hold on to identity. So a lot of suffering that caused by our wrong view, our holding on, our attachment to identity, naturally vanish with this knowledge. Then one more thing. Recollection of past life doesn't always necessarily assure you the knowledge of cause and effect. And even if give you the cause and effect knowledge, may not be that precise. That you may still have some signs of ego and I, but not dependent origination. Dependent origination give you strong knowledge of cause and effect and in precise terms. This, that. So, can you indulge in cultivating, killing, torturing others, evil things? Because you know that it will bounce back to you. That bad action will bounce back to you. One time in Molamia, I went to, they brought us to the one stupa. And then that's one stupa, the Buddha image, supposed to have a diamond here, Diamond in the forehead. like our image, the diamond. Then one day, the burglar enter. It was actually locked, locked by the gate, but not the very tough gate, but the gate, the gate, they can pull out, like that, locked by gate. We went into, and then the monks explained to us, our diamond was lost. But when it was lost, they saw, they came in, they saw a note on the table, on the altar, saying that, please, Devas, don't block me. I want to go out. I don't mind going to hell. Next future, I go to hell is okay. But now I want to steal this. I want to go out. So from that, they derive what actually happened there. Why the burglar have to leave a note like that on the table? So I think I think it's quite a reasonable guess is that the burglar maybe want to escape and couldn't escape. Maybe the Deva blocked him. And they said, well, don't worry, you don't need to protect. I don't mind go to hell. I still want to steal this. So maybe the Deva gave up on him. Okay lah, instead of shielding you from going out, let you go out as you wish. After all, you already, you say you want to go to hell. So that's a story told to us lah. At that time, no camera, CCTV. So people can only derive that story, the whole process based on that note, and thinking that this burglar had this mind in had this thing in experienced something like that lah. So this it can only happen to person who believe in past life, future, and rebirth, but not possible for people who have real dependent origination knowledge. If you have real dependent origination, you won't say, okay, let me go to hell in future. It's okay. I don't mind. I just want to enjoy life now. Not possible. Belief is possible. Faith is possible because faith and belief is not so strong. But dependent origination knowledge, it cannot happen that way. The person may have some kind of weakness, defilements, whatever. But to say that I'm happy to go, I don't mind going to hell, is not possible. Because you really know cause and effect, and you really know the price is so painful. Okay? That. So, what do you want to cultivate? Of course, the most important is dependent origination. And then on top of that, if you want to see further, because sometimes dependent origination, if you can see a few lifetimes, you can already cultivate that knowledge. Already can cultivate knowledge. So sometimes people, if you don't see far enough, sometimes most of our yogis, from we hear from the report, mostly for those who can practice up to dependent origination in these lives, their karma are not too bad. Their wisdom karma are not too bad. So in the recent past life, let's say 5 or 6 lives, if they remember, most of the report are good realm, not horrible. Yeah, so far I heard one immediate past life came from dog. Yeah. And another one from ghost or what? From immediate second past life, third past life. Possible. But mostly immediate past life is not too bad. I've not heard of one coming up from hell and then this life attain dependent origination. No. Usually you come from very painful existence. Usually you carry some residual karma, bad karma. So not so easy to cultivate up to dependent origination. Not so easy. But not to say impossible. Just so not in our statistic. There's all okay. So dependent origination is very powerful. Especially sometimes people are confused or perplexed or uncertain, Maṅgala, about your future. So you don't know what kind of life you want to lead in future. 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, what kind of life you will appreciate yourself living it. If you have this independent origination, if you cultivate this at the early stage of your life, you can plot your future better because more assured. Not only you know what is possible for you, In that sense, it helps you to formulate your goal. It also helps you to understand the methodology. Because dependent origination tells about what causes produce what the results. So when you can know what causes will produce what result, what do you know? You know method, methodology, the method of achieving good health, long life, beauty, happiness, security, etc. How important is this knowledge? When you have that knowledge, you are more assured in every steps you walk on earth. Okay? So, dependent origination, because the mind open up space and time. Your mind grow in its awareness, perception of vast space and time. That is very helpful. And on top of that, there's another benefit. When you have more vast sense of space and time and all kinds of possibilities, you tend to have broad mind instead of narrow mind. You tend to be more forgiving and accepting to differences in the world. That makes you a more beautiful human being, a better friend, a better father and mother, and son and daughter, because of the mind qualities. And with that, you tend to be broader and not so self-centered, and only all your thinking only circle around self, gain, my loss, my gain, my loss. You tend to care and easier to spread measureless metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. And this knowledge supports a lot of wholesomeness. Not only this and that also. It supports our courage, our virtues, a lot of qualities. So it is not one simple knowledge. It is like the root of a lot of wholesomeness. And what more to say that it is actually the indispensable knowledge towards liberation. Let's look at Four Noble Truths. Dukkha Satcha, Noble Truth or reality of suffering. This, it need not transcend time. You just look at the present moment, you feel the pain, you know the dukkha. This is dukkha. You see the change, you see the suffering due to change, viparinama dukkha. And you see the ultimate reality arising and passing away, the formations arising and passing away, the sankhara dukkha, which even the Brahma have to experience it, just that whether they are aware or not aware. Even the happiest life also have to experience this sankhara dukkha, the suffering, formational suffering, because of formations. The nature of formation is suffering. So this is dukkha. But samudaya causes the conditions that cause this suffering to appear, to be experienced by us. What does it mean? Condition always happen first, then the result happen later. Time. Yeah, you cannot take time into a whole time into your hands and call it this time. But because the sequence of arising and passing away, the concept of time appear. What happened first and what happened later. Cause and effect. Because of that, our knowledge of methodology appear in our mind. We are versed in methodology. And whatever happened, we always work on methodology and work on to discover methods. Whatever happened, instead of crying over spilled milk, you work on what I can do. What is possible? What is the method I can employ? See how it transforms our mind. The way our mind works change because of dependent origination knowledge. If you really work on it, directly experience it instead of just naming this and naming that, reciting this and reciting that. That's not. Seeing this and seeing that, that is dependent origination knowledge. So, a lot of beautiful things, a lot of wonderful upliftment of our mind will dawn on us if we cultivate this dependent origination. In fact, it is very significant in this modern era. Okay, so I will end here. I hope that will help inspire. This is not a discourse about teaching you about dependent origination. You know, your teacher will teach you. This is to arouse your care and sense of the weightage about this, the importance of this knowledge, so that you will incline more sincerely, more wholeheartedly towards realization of this knowledge. Because too much suffering in the world, too much causes of suffering in the world that are committed or have been committed or were committed in the past are due to lack of knowledge of dependent origination, which uncover the reality of rebirth, of causes and effect, and if can go one step further, about the emptiness, the impermanent suffering of non-self, built upon this dependent origination knowledge. Okay, so let this knowledge change our life, transform our life. After all, we are not going after knowledge just for the thirst of knowledge, for not only for knowledge's sake. The Buddha is a very realistic, sage, wise person. Why? We don't learn something just for nothing, because we want happiness and don't want suffering. And if you really don't want suffering, we want happiness, we need to know the method towards happiness and know what are the right causes towards happiness, so that our life can grow from one stage to another stage until the happiness of not arising and not passing away, which is the realization of Nibbana. Okay? So this knowledge helps us along the way at every stage of our evolution. Every stage of evolution, it serves its purpose. Okay? Until the final liberation. So let's cherish and respect this knowledge and incline towards this knowledge and cultivate the concentration, mindfulness, and the other qualities, faith, power of energy, power of mindfulness, power of concentration, power of wisdom, etc. And 7 factors of enlightenment and the light of wisdom, so that we can realize this knowledge at the level of realization. Bhavana Maya Panya. Now you hear from me. If this is the first time you hear, you get Sutta Maya Panya, knowledge of hearing or reading or seeing only. But usually we say hearing, but it encompasses knowledge as first hand, but not or transfer from other people to you without yourself fully appreciating it. Then it goes to the second level of Cintamaya Panya, thinking wisdom, reflecting, reasoning. But there's a lot of paradoxes in the world, cannot be sorted out purely by thinking wisdom, thinking reasoning, logical thinking. No. Because some reality is beyond imagination. So it has to be experienced directly, which is called Bhavana Maya Panya. Sometimes they translate as Siu So Chen, training wisdom. But I would rather call it Chan So Chen, because I think Chan is a meditation, is the training, is a Siu. The precise type of training. Because the word Siu is, the Chinese word Siu is training. Training can be anything, it can be quite shallow. But Chan is a specific training for the mind to uncover, to develop. My power is on one hand, and further into Vipassana, use that power to see realities of life. So let's incline our mind to cultivate this knowledge in these 3 aspects: Suttamaya Panya, Cintamaya Panya, and Bhavanamaya Panya. So that we don't stop at any stage until it produces the complete efficacy or power on our mind to liberate us from all causes of suffering and causes of suffering subsequently. Okay? So, okay, we'll end here. Okay? Idang me punya asawakaya wahang hotu. With these merits, may I overcome all defilements, all cankers, and all causes of suffering. Idang me punya nibbana sa pacaya hotu. May this merit be a supporting condition for my realization of nibbana. Mama punya bagang sabba satana bhajemi te sabe me samang punya bagang labantu. I share my merits with all beings. May all beings get a share of my merits equally. Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.